you mentioned Doug Holty, the Republican chairman. He has been very supportive. He doesn't endorse any candidate prior to the official nomination.
Well,
but
I can't ask you why he would be at the Independence Party thing, because he's very close friends with Giulio Cavallo.
I've been to many.
But then Giulio Cavallo is also, very much involved and controlled by Sam Zerka too.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't have any evidence of that.
That's what I hear.
Well, I haven't heard that, but I think it's very appropriate and important for Republicans and people of all parties to go to independent party events and other party events to reach out to people who aren't Republicans. In fact, I was at an Independence Party dinner a week ago, and I spoke to Dr. Cavallo and other people. Republicans aren't going to win just running as Republicans. We need to reach out to people of all voters. There is an inordinate number of people who are not registered in any party in this county, and we need to reach out to all those people. So there's nothing inappropriate about that at all.
Well, it's just a question of what they're really doing behind the scenes, which is not, and the fact that it's not public, it doesn't necessarily make it right. That's the thing that I rail against, is all this political intrigue behind closed doors. Well, not necessarily you specific, but the point is these things occur all the time.
I know a lot of that has happened in politics. Most of the people you just mentioned are involved in Tony Castro's campaign, so obviously...
Yeah, look, I'm a publisher too. I do a radio show, but I'm not manipulating one person or another. And I'm not going to tell them what to do or suggest they go one way or the other. That's not for me to decide. I wait for the voters to do that, even though I could have a particular position.
Right. And as I said, the people you mentioned are not part of my campaign. They're not even endorsing me. They're endorsing Tony Castro. So I can't really speak to what their real motives are.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure exactly who they're endorsing at the moment. Okay. We'll see. We have a caller on the line. Let's take it. Good morning, and thanks for your patience.
Yeah. Hi. Good morning, Hezi. Good morning, Mr. Schorr. This is Bill.
Hi,
Good morning, Bill.
I look at Westchester, and I've lived here all my life, and I see different problems for different parts of Westchester. I would divide it up into southern Westchester, central Westchester, northern Westchester, and then Yonkers, which is a world unto its own.
Oh, thank you, Bill.
Well, it's really the truth, Hezi. And what do you see as the crime priorities, the main problems for these various regions, if you could agree to that analysis?
I definitely...
And I'll just hang up and listen on the radio.
Thanks, Bill.
And I'll wish you good luck also.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Bill. That's a great question, and you're absolutely right. This is a very diverse county in terms of the type of crimes that people face. You'll have Mount Vernon, Yonkers, maybe some other areas have had a spate of shootings lately. There's a growing gang problem, especially with gangs coming up from the Bronx or New York City. Yeah. People in northern Westchester, central Westchester may be facing crimes of burglary. There's a lot of identity theft in this county that, may affect people who are more likely to use credit cards, financial resources. So the district attorney has to be able to handle all those type of crimes. You have to be able to handle the violent crimes, and you have to be able to reach out to the communities that don't face a daily threat of violent crime, but there are other crimes that affect their lives and undermine the safety and security of their family. That's one problem with this DA's office, that they really aren't on top of some of the new crimes. For instance, identity theft. It's a major crime around not only the county, but around the world right now. And this DA's office, shockingly, does not even have an identity theft unit. I have a friend who's an assistant DA in another DA's office who does identity theft prosecutions, and this person told me that she could not find an assistant DA in Westchester to help her with a case that had a Westchester component because no one was actively doing identity theft prosecution. And I've talked to police officers in Westchester who say that there's no uniform way to address identity theft crimes in Westchester. Especially smaller departments, they don't have the resources to start investigating identity theft, which happens across borders. So we need to be on top of that. We need to stop the gang problem. We need to do more investigations to stop narcotics and auto theft rings. So you really do have to be able to tackle different types of crimes in different parts of the county.
What about immigration? That seems to be a big issue, and bias crime.
That is a problem, and one of the roles of the district attorney is to enforce the bias laws of New York State, where there can be enhanced penalties for people who commit violent crimes based on the race, ethnicity, national origin, gender, or sexual orientation of the victim, and that's very important to me.
Well, there's a lot of stuff here, that I guess one can sink teeth into. It's really fascinating. I had no idea that there was so much involved in the district attorney's office, and it's funny that there's so many offices in government, and it's hard to decipher exactly what's being done in each. And because you may have talking heads and pundits, one way or the other, it's very hard to challenge issues that we're not privy to. We don't have to contend with these issues. I wouldn't even know where to begin. There are limits to what you could do as an administrator on one level if you don't know how things actually work. There are things that you could study, and then there are things that are real and how you mesh them together. And then there's always the politics of just being human to people and working with all types of people with different thoughts and different backgrounds and getting them to work as a team.
Right. Well, definitely the personality of the district attorney is important in terms of reaching out to the community, being visible, being accessible, not just to the police departments, but to crime victims and just concerned citizens. And, I was shocked when I've been going around the county how many people don't know who the district attorney is.
Really?
And that's,
wow.
You wouldn't have had that a few years ago. And I think it's really important. The district attorney has to be a public presence where people can see that person and feel reassured that a competent person is looking out for their safety and is accessible if they need help from either them or one of their assistants. And
do you really think it's that broken?
Absolutely.
To be honest, I don't know. It's like you're bringing up thoughts that I would never have even dreamed about.
Well,
I mean, I see her. It's not like I'm in every story, and I don't cover a lot of the stories and the cases that are being done, but I see her.
Well, let me give you two examples.
I see her in Mount Vernon. I see her down in Manhattan at the death of a police commissioner's mother, and I see her.
I've seen her at a lot of events. I've actually known her for a long time, and we've had a very good personal relationship. Yeah. Although the last time I saw,
but we're not talking about her personality. Yeah. She's a wonderful person. But
I was just going to say,
we're just talking about the job.
Right. I was just saying I know her as a person, and we've always been very nice to each other. So it's not about the personality.
No,
it's about
not.
the job of the office. But let me give you two examples of why that show that the system is broken. One is, as I've mentioned, you have. I think it's now over 25% of the assistant district attorneys in Westchester have resigned in the last 2 years. Now, that's an astounding fact, especially in this economy, for people to leave a decent paying, solid government job for another job.
Where are they going?
Some are going to other government jobs. Some are going to the private sector. It's because people feel that they no longer can make a difference in the DA's office because they can't. One of the main reasons is they can't try cases unless they're slam dunks. And as an assistant DA, let me tell you, what's interesting about being a prosecutor is trying to put in jail dangerous people who are preying on innocent people. And if you're not allowed to do that to the best of your ability, then it's frustrating. And if I could give you a second example, which is very pertinent to Yonkers, there was a woman named Irma Marquez.
Before you get to Irma Marquez, we'll just get to her like in a second. Sure. No problem. But you don't feel that people are using the district attorney's office as a stepping stone towards other things? Was it just a propitious moment, coincidental that 25%, if your numbers are correct, moved on because they're looking for something higher? It is unbelievable on the resume to say, "Hey, I worked as an ADA."
Well, first of all, these assistant DAs are friends of mine. They tell me why they're leaving, and they're not leaving.
And they're not leaving for that.
Well, a lot of them are leaving because they're unhappy in the office, and you won't find another time where that many people have left. When I was in the DA's office, both in Queens and in Westchester, it was a prized position that people stayed on for a long time.
So this is it's
an unprecedented turnover
number,
right? And once again, I know I'm a candidate, and people are listening to what I'm saying. I would ask people to go to their local police departments, or when they see a police officer, and ask them how the district attorney's office is running, and they'll get a sense of that from the local police, and that'll be unfiltered by any other candidate.
Okay, we should tell people that we're speaking with Dan Schorr, who's running for district attorney in the county of Westchester. You can learn a little bit more about his campaign or get involved in his campaign by going to www.electdanschorr.com. Schorr is spelled Schorr, so electdanschorr.com. If you want to give us a call, we're at 914-636-0110.